Hey, my beautiful followers, how is everyone doing? It is a beautiful Sunday morning here in Texas. It's going to be a hot one, but it is not quite scorching yet. It's going to be, I think, 102 or 103. So I decided to come out here, get my outdoor time before it is too hot for the ginger kid, because at some point it will be too hot for me to be out here. I get burnt in like that. I was only outside for like 10 minutes yesterday in the sun, and I was like, okay, it is time to go in. It is time to go in. There is something about Texas sun that is different from other places. I was just in Mexico and I was fine like in the sun for quite a bit of time, but it's actually hotter here right now than it was in Mexico. It is definitely hotter here than it was in Mexico. But anyway, so this morning my head is really in sex. It's really in sex, and it has been for the last probably week or two. I think this is partially to do with all the workshops coming up in the DFW area, and all of them are really surrounding sex. Female Orgasm Camp, oral intimacies, the cock connective. I know Kendall's got sex magic coming up, quantum field tantra, which is energetic orgasm. So anyway, we have all this stuff happening about sex right now. And although it's all about sex, a lot of it is about the internal. It's about the way to woo your woman into a better space in your sex. It's about you connecting with your sex. All of these things, all of these beautiful techniques. And then I was thinking about my sex. And I was like, I feel like today I need to do a sexual confessional to my followers. So here I am it is Sunday, and I was Catholic growing up. So here I am at the confessional of sex, and hopefully that you guys can realize some of the sexual confessions you might need to make as well. But again, it was all about sex, and then I started to think about my own sex. And recently I was talking with a close friend, and I was sharing with this friend about some of my struggles in the bedroom right now. Yep, even sex coaches have struggles in the bedroom. I've been having sex with a new lover, and I found myself at one point just feeling really numbed out. I'm like, I feel you, but I don't feel you. And I think it's easy in sexual relationships to blame another party. That is our ego, when we go, oh, it's your fault. But that wasn't the case. That's not the case. I was like, I don't feel you, but actually I think it's me. I think it's me not feeling you. And of course, our partners can be doing their own sexual work, and I'm not saying that that gives anybody else that weren't in relationship the right to just be like, oh, I don't have to work, I don't have to do anything. This is for each and every one of us to look at our own sexual issues. I get clients in my office all the time, and they will go, well, if my partner only, and I'm like, well, what are you doing to fix your sex? What are you doing to fix your sex? And what kind of sexual confessions are you having with your partner? Because while I talk to a friend about, I was like, I'm feeling kind of numbed out, this is going on, that's going on, I'm not sure if it's him or if it's me. I'm trying to kind of unravel this ball right now. In my sex. Where do I need to approach? And she gave me some suggestions, and I was like, I knew all of that already. But sometimes we need somebody to just kick our own butts. Even as sex coaches, we need other coaches, friends, family members to be like, yeah. And so I ended up going back and doing a whole bunch of my own work, and still in that process, really to kind of go back years in the past and pick up some of my basics again. I am a huge advocate of yoni eggs or jade egg practices or vaginal weightlifting, whatever you want to call it, but for women to really, really heal their vaginal canal. And while I've been doing it, I have not been doing it in the way that I usually do it. I kind of fell off the practice a little bit, and so I was like, okay, I got to kick my butt into that. I preach conscious masturbation, and in truth, when I do masturbate, yes, I'm very conscious of touch, but I'm like, I'm not making time in my day to do that. I'm not making time in my week to do it consistently. So I'm just not. I just was like, I just haven't been masturbating. And I'm like, well, I need to take the time to really touch and feel and connect with my own body. All the things I preach and I practice. Most of the time I practice, but I preach. And these are things that I learned years ago when I first started, even before I was a Tantric Practitioner. These are things that I learned when I was getting my own healing years back. And so I really had to look at, okay, what's going on with me in the bedroom? Where am I not connecting to my own pussy? Where am I not connecting to my own energy? What are the thoughts going on in my head? Where am I not surrendering? And as women, we suck at surrendering sometimes. We really suck at surrendering and just allowing. And it is important to look at these places. And there's this one place with my lover I come up right there, and I'm like, oh, this is shaky ground for me. This is really shaky ground. Like, am I gonna allow myself to go here? And then I go into a thought, and that thought kills it, and I feel my body clench just a little bit, and then it's gone. And that is the healing work. I would love to sit here as a sex coach, tantric practitioner, and go, oh, my sex is perfect. But it's not. I'm always healing. I'm always learning. I'm always growing. I'm always expanding. And I look at sex very connectively, not necessarily for the get off, because that is not the way to look at it. But before we point fingers at our partners, we have to look at ourselves. We have to look at what is going on with us, and we have to have these sexual confessions not just with our friends, but with our partners. Before I even said anything to a friend, and this particular partner knows I'm going to talk to my friend, because that's how I roll. I was like, I told him, like, I'm struggling to feel. I'm struggling to lean in here. This isn't you. This is me dropping into my orgasm. This is me really struggling to surrender in this part of our sexing. This is me feeling numbed out. Because guess what? The female genitals, and guess what? Male genitals too. This isn't just women. The male genitals, we form trauma. We form energetic blockages. Everything gets really stored in our genitals, and we do not give our genitals enough time and attention to really clear that out. I've been working on like pelvic releases with myself, and going in and really allowing and opening up some of those points of blockages. Because we all of us hold in our genitals, and we live in America. We sit in chairs. Well, some of us live in America, but we live in the Western world. Most of us, if you're watching this, you have a computer and you have some. You're probably sitting down and a lot, and not always relaxing your butt. We have very few times in our day where we truly like relax all the genital muscles, relax the butt, relax the whole pelvic floor. And if we're not taking the time to really strengthen that pelvic floor, what ends up happening is we have a weak pelvic floor. We have a tight pelvic floor. And then we don't feel. Then we continue to hold trauma. We continue to hold energy in our genitals, in our butts, in our pelvic floors, and our sexing is not where it could be. So we need to be talking to our partners, and we need to be doing our own practices. We can't be pointing fingers and going, oh, if she just did this, it's their fault. They're not connected. It's them. Well, guess what? Look at yourself. And yes, there are those moments when you can have those conversations with a partner and go, hey, I'm not feeling you, and I think it might be because you're not connecting to your cock. As a woman, I can tell you, I know when a man is having sex with me and does not connect to his genitals when he is in his head. I can call it out like that. But we also need to be able to call it out in ourselves and go, I'm not being present right now, or my mind is over here, my mind is over there. And even say that. I'm not sure what my partners think of this, but there are times that I'll be like, I'm just not here. I'm not here. I'm struggling to get here. I'm struggling to get present. You're doing, and I will even be like, you're doing everything right. You're doing everything right. But I'm just letting you know I'm struggling to get present. I'm struggling to get present. And then when you're not in the bedroom, to think about, well, why am I struggling to not be present? Why am I disconnected from my genitals? Why am I not feeling the pleasure? Why am I not allowing? And while I know, like, even within, like, jumping back on my practices, within a few days, I'm like, okay, I feel back to my old self. It was just that, like, ass kick that I needed. But if you've never done the practices, then most likely you might want to get on some sexual practices. You might want to get on journaling and looking at your belief systems around sex. You might want to look at each and every single one of your past relationships and your sexual relationships to own your desires, to really own your desire and what you want in the bedroom. These are self-confessionals. And then having those conversations with those that you are having intimate relationship with. Because I can tell you, and I think I did a video on this a couple years ago, and it was why your sex is scaring you, why you're scared of your sex. And people tell me all the time, I'm not scared of my sex. And I'm like, bullshit. If you're not scared of your sex, then your sex fucking sucks. Your sex sucks, because that means you're not going deep. Our sex should scare us. Our sex, we should come up against these places that are a little shaky, that we're like, I'm gonna have to breathe in here. And if you're not, then you're not expanding, you're not growing. And this does not mean you need to be going and doing any massive fantasy, kinky stuff. Now, if you want to do that, that's fine, all that. And that's not what I'm talking about when we have that fear rise up in us. This should be a fear of our vulnerability. This should be a fear of, like, can I go this deep? Can I hold this level of pleasure? Can I truly hold this level of pleasure in my body without laughing, without crying it out? We like to spit our orgasmic energy out in other ways. We'll start talking in the middle of sex. We'll start laughing in the middle of sex when there's nothing really funny happening. Or even sometimes we just start crying. And guess what? This is an energetic release. This is us not being able to hold the energy. Now, there are times when it's like, no, like, I do have emotion coming up, and that's different. That's a different experience. But we like to shake off our orgasmic energy, our pleasure. We don't want to hold it. So if your sex isn't scaring you, it's not bringing up a little bit of I don't want to say anxiety, because that's the wrong word, but like, can I do this? This is a little edgy. This pleasure, this feeling, this sensation, this is edgy. Can I lean in here? Then you are not leaning in deep enough. And that's not to say that needs to happen every time you're having sex. But if this is not something that you're experiencing pretty frequently, then you are not growing in your sex with your partner. And that's when you might need to get really clear with self. This might be when you need to go to the confessional of yourself and go, where am I not leaning into my sex? Where am I holding myself back? Where am I not wanting to connect with my partner? Where are my thoughts getting in the way? Or where do I might not need something a little bit more, something a little bit different? And then having these hard conversations with your partner. And just owning it when maybe the sex isn't great. Maybe you're in a moment. Because I can tell you, I work with people every single day in their sexual expansion and turn on. And I even have days where I'm like, yeah, that sex was not very good, and it was my fault. Or sometimes it's like, no, like, they weren't in it. We rise and we fall, and sex is fluid. It is a process. It is this feminine dance of sometimes we're there and we're connected and we're just like hot and passionate and fiery, and sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's like, there is something to be learned here. There is something like, I'm not in the pleasure space. Why am I not? And these are beautiful learning moments. These are little moments also of going, am I taking care of myself? I told you that I had not been taking the time to do really conscious masturbation. I hadn't actually been taking time to masturbate at all, in truth. I've been having sex instead of masturbating, but it is important to connect with your own body and tune in and to do your sexual healing work. And I do mean that in the mental, the emotional, and also the physical. If you're just having sex, and I'm going to speak to us women for a second, because I can't tell you how many women are like, well, what do you mean I need to get in there and like, I need to do some pressure points, and my man needs to really just like go in there and spend some time like just doing like a soft massage, nothing for pleasure, but really like hit those points of like a little bit of discomfort or numbness. Your genitals shouldn't be numb. FYI, like no part of your genitals should be numb. And it should be like a baby's ass. Like it should be so soft and so smooth. So if you have all these like little bumps and like little grains of sand under it, you need to get your ass to somebody who does pelvic release work. You need to do some pelvic release work on yourself. You need to be doing your healing work, because that means that you're holding. That means you're holding, and that means that your sex is not as good as it could be. It means that your sensation is limited. And men, the same thing. Men, the same thing goes for you. You're not doing your strength training exercises in whatever form or fashion that comes for you, then you need to get on that. I told you I kicked my own ass for not being on my vaginal weightlifting practices like I normally am. And so I got my butt kicked from a friend, and then I was like, yeah, you're right. I knew that. I knew that. I knew that. And getting real with self. So my message today is go do your sexual healing, because if you do not reawaken your sex, you will not awaken your life. Everybody's sitting here in COVID and going, oh, I can't wait to get back to normal. Well, guess what? You have to be fully alive to really live, to get back to, you don't want normal, you want amazing. And your sex has to be a fucking part of that. It has to be a part of it. I'm not talking like you have to be having penetrative sex with a partner, but you have to be connected to your sex, and you have to be healing your sex, and you have to be wanting to explore and expand it in whatever way. That's not saying that you have to have a partner right now. But if you are shutting that down, you're shutting yourself down. You're shutting yourself down if you are disconnecting this part of you. You're disconnecting that part of you. So you could come to one of my workshops if you're in the DFW area, or actually now we have some online options for some of the workshops you guys have asked, and so we have listened. Kendall and I spent the last few days talking about how we can get this information out to everybody in the way that they're comfortable with getting it. Some people are fine coming and doing in-person workshops, with which all our workshops are currently 50% or more filled. So if you want to do the in-person workshop, then please get your ass in the door for any of that workshops coming in August. They all are about over 50% full. Right now we have some guru sessions going on for Orgasm Camp, which means that you get a more private, either a private or a semi-private moment with me and Kendall as we teach you the ups and downs of female orgasm with a live model. You get to watch and touch and really explore. I love Orgasm Camp for that, because you get to see real orgasm happening and experience real orgasm happening. It is PG, well, it's not, it's R, because there is a naked model, but outside of the naked model, everybody else stays clothed. But then we are filming Orgasm Camp, which we have been asked to do for years now, and so we are filming Orgasm Camp. So if you're not in the DFW area, still can get it. If you're in the DFW area, please come and join us in person if you're comfortable, or you can also do the online version. Same thing goes for oral intimacies and the Cock Connective, which is a brand new workshop to get you men in the bedroom with yourself, with your partner, and just living your best masculine life, really attacking your life. So this is going to be a beautiful workshop all about your cock, all about your masculinity, all about expanding as a man. It's going to be an amazing workshop. It is just for men, so women, please don't sign up for that workshop. And you can find all of that at addisonbell.net/events. And you can register for all of that. I also have a 50% off my consultations right now, so you can check that out also at my webpage, addisonbell.net. Other than that, I will see you beautiful people tomorrow for another Addison Unleashed. Go do your work, go recover your life. All right, guys, I love you.